So we're in week 4 of the book study of this incredible poetry anthology, The Longing in Between. And this week, he's titled this section of the book, Only the Mountain Remains. It's exactly what Sharon was singing to. Only the mountain remains. It all fades into God. It all fades into the truth of beingness. Whew. That's really hard sometimes, isn't it? At least it is for me. So this is one of the poems that's in this section. A flock of birds flies up, then disappears. One last cloud also drifts into emptiness. The mountain and I gaze at each other, untiring, until only the mountain remains. So Ivan Granger talks about how the flock of birds are all of our thoughts. All of those thoughts. Do you ever feel like that when you sit to meditate? Forget it. Not even when you just sit to meditate. When you sit down to try to do anything and your brain is just and all those birds are just flying around, circling and swooping. And even when they do disappear, there's always that cloud. And then he says that eventually disappears, but then we're still stuck with our identity, our humanness, gazing at our divinity, until only the mountain remains. Granger says, the mountain is that which is eternal, fixed, rooted in the earth while touching the heavens. The mountain is often recognized as our true self, the only self, which is eternal. We would call that the I am. That which is right here and now in time and in space, and we are also touching the heavens. We are that bridge, that space, that place that is divinely human. A flock of birds flies up, then disappears. One last cloud also drifts into emptiness. The mountain and I gaze at each other, untiring, until only the mountain remains. You can resist your divine identity, but it cannot defeat the divinity that you actually are. Angelus Silius says this another way. He said, God, whose love and joy are present everywhere, can't come to visit you unless you aren't there. I love this because it feels like Dr. Seuss, right? God, whose love and joy are present everywhere, can't come to visit you unless you aren't there. The you, small you. Small you. Rumi says, try and be a sheet of paper with nothing on it. Be a spot of ground where nothing is growing, where something might be planted, a seed, possibly from the absolute. Oh, wouldn't it be nice if we could just, you know how you can delete everything on a computer screen and just have a blank screen? Wouldn't it be nice if we could just go in and go, zoop, and be that plain piece of paper, that open, available space for something that is nothing that we can actually imagine to arise and become palpably present. And what's happened in the world, what's always happening in the world, it's just that we now have technology that allows us to know what's happening in the world. We have a mandate to be this blank piece of paper. Those of us who are in the spiritual understanding of the truth of who we are, it is a mandate to stand in that, because this world needs that. What if the Middle East was a blank piece of paper where the seeds of the absolute could be planted? This is what we're being invited to imagine and understand, using our power of imagination, using our power of will, using our power of spiritual understanding, to be able to stand in a place where the seeming impossible peace in the Middle East is actually already there. Because it is a possibility in the realm of the absolute. It is there. But it needs that space to grow. And just like in your own lives, everything that you are seeking is already there, but are you making space for it? So our sense of self, that small you, right? We're so attached to it. And it's arising from our thoughts and our beliefs and our emotions. And we create meaning to give life meaning. We create meaning all the time. I like to say that we're meaning-making machines. We are creating meaning always because we are trying to give life meaning. We are trying to make sense of something. Our humanness needs everything to line up just so. The question really is it actually true? All the meaning that you're making, is it actually true? Because what happens is when we're not a blank piece of paper, and we already have all those paragraphs, we already have all that narrative, we already have that story, what happens is we don't step into the realm of possibility, we just continue the narrative. We just continue doing exactly, anybody feel like you're on a treadmill? You just keep coming right back around? Again and again and again, and you're like, wow, I am here again. So, Byron Katie has this really incredible process, and what she talks about is that she doesn't let go of her concepts or her thoughts, right? She's like, you can't let go of them. You can't just say, okay, be gone. Anybody in here have that actually work for them? I'm not going to think that anymore. And what actually happens is you think it even more. She says, I don't let go of concepts. I question them. And then they let go of me. There's a gentle way for us to engage in transformation that does not mean that we have to beat ourselves up, that we have to make ourselves wrong. Remember all those mistakes. All the ways that we think we failed, it all fades into God. So can we actually engage with ourself from that understanding, our divinely human understanding? So she has a process called loving what is, right? Loving what is, and I'm sure a lot of you already know this, but we're going to go over it because we all forget it. So the first thing we ask ourselves in loving what is it true? Is it true? Whatever you're feeling. So this week, I was feeling overwhelmed, right? I was overwhelmed. And what was coming up for me is, I don't have enough capacity. I don't have enough capacity. I don't have enough skill. I don't have enough wisdom. I don't have enough of any of this to be able to navigate what's arising right now. The question is it true? Well, it sure feels true. The next question is, can you absolutely know it's true? All right, no, maybe it's not absolutely true. Maybe I have done enough work to be able to acknowledge that this is something that's just arising for me right now, but it sure feels real. But okay, I can say it's not absolutely true. And even if you do say it's absolutely true, because I've had those moments too, no, this is absolutely true. It takes you to the next question, which is how do you react? What happens when you believe that thought? So when I believe the thought that I don't have enough wisdom, I don't have enough capacity, I don't have enough, well, it makes me feel about this small. It makes me feel tired. It makes me feel drained. It makes me want to curl up in a ball in my bed. Anybody ever feel like that? With a really trashy novel. So I can completely leave this sense of reality that I'm in right now. Enter some other alternate reality, right? So we acknowledge what's actually happening when I have that thought. And then the real question, who would you be without that thought? And this is where, for me, our divine qualities come in. Who would I be without that thought? Well, I actually would be wisdom if I didn't have that thought. I actually would be strong if I didn't have that thought. I actually would have compassion and spiritual understanding if I didn't have that thought. And then she does this final thing where you turn the thought around. What is its opposite? So if I'm thinking I don't have enough wisdom, I don't have enough capacity, I turn it around and I say, I have enough wisdom. I have enough capacity. I have enough strength. If I feel as if you, as the community of Unity in Marin, are going to think that I don't have enough capacity or enough wisdom or enough strength, I turn that around and I say, the community of Unity in Marin has wisdom. The community of Unity in Marin has strength. The community at Unity in Marin has capacity. Can you feel how, by interacting with that thought, not pretending it's not there? I really want to be clear. There's so much spiritual bypass in New Thought. There are so many ways that we say, oh, that's an uncomfortable feeling, so I'm just going to shove it in the corner. It's all good. It's all good, and I've shared how that's code for my life has gone to hell. Right? We don't ignore the challenging places in our life. We meet them, because when we actually question them, they lose their power. They lose their hold over who we think we are. And then I took that into prayer, remembering to remember, I am strength, I am compassion, I am courage, I am clarity, and I am not alone. It's not all on me. I had a very wise healer say to me with my plantar fasciitis, say to me, you are carrying the whole world on your shoulders. No wonder your feet hurt. And I was like, oh, that is so on the nose. What are you carrying around that actually isn't yours to carry? That actually isn't yours. So Byron Katie says, there is no what should be. There is only what is, just the way it is right now. She says, I am a lover of what is, not because I am a spiritual person, but because it hurts when I argue with reality. So my question to you is, how are you arguing with reality? How can only the mountain remain? How can you let go of all those places where you are trying to force reality into this tiny little box that will make you feel more comfortable, when actually the uncomfortableness that you're feeling is there so that you can spiritually grow? And if you keep saying no to that, it's going to keep coming back at you. It's going to keep showing up. Anybody experience that? Again and again until you master something. And what we're seeking to master is the fact that we actually are the mountain. Is it true? Those thoughts come up. Is it true? Is it absolutely true? How do I react when I'm believing that thought? What actually happens to me? And who would I be without that thought? How do I turn that around? Because in the turnaround is the truth, is the healing. Can you feel that? Reverend Michael says, there is that which you are that has never been hurt, harmed, or endangered. We forget that all the time. We forget that there is a space that we are, an understanding that we are that is inviolate. It cannot be hurt or harmed because it is the divinity that is the realm of the absolute. If you actually knew that you could not truly be hurt, harmed, or endangered, how would you live your life? How would you show up? What thoughts would you give yourself freedom to let go of? Liberation from all obstacles. I just love the title of the poem, right? This is what Tom read during the inspirational reading. This is not a teaching where we only choose the good. This is a teaching where we live into life fully, and that means all of it. And as we live into all of it, we are being invited to understand something about ourselves. And the practice that we are being invited into is to choose what is, not what we wish it could be. If there is need, if there is cost, I choose to pay. That's a big one. How many places are you trying to weasel out of what the actual cost is for something? If there is need, I choose to give. How are you not giving to the need that you actually are seeing in the world? If there is pain, I choose to feel. How are you shutting yourself off because you think you need to keep yourself safe? If there is sorrow, I choose to grieve. We cannot pretend that we are not impacted emotionally by what is happening in this world. When burning, I choose heat. Can you choose anything else in that moment, actually? You can't. So embrace the what is. When calm, I choose peace. When starving, I choose hunger. When happy, I choose joy. Whom I encounter, I choose to meet. This is our connectivity right here. Whoever you encounter, are you choosing to meet them, truly meet them? What I shoulder, I choose to bear. This is all about victim consciousness. Where are you blaming other people that they gave that to you? I can own up that my sense that I'm responsible for the entire world, that's on me. That's not on anybody else. That's on me. When it is my death, I choose to die. We are talking about big D death and little d death. When it is my death, when the thing that I think I am, when it is needing to die, I choose to let it die. Where this takes me, I choose to go. The invitation to what is opening up within you. Are you stepping into the evolution of your consciousness? Being with what is, I respond to what is. Notice how it doesn't say I react to what is, because that's what we tend to do. I respond to what is. I have been waking up with pain on and off now for 4 months in my foot. And there is no other choice for me but to be with what is. It is what it is. And I can hold prayer, I can see healing, I can know the truth of my body temple, and I cannot ignore what is actually happening. I am paying attention because in that pain, there is something I am being invited to understand. That is truth. I've been in this pain for 3 months, and then it took 3 months for me to go to a healer who said to me, you're carrying, something I needed to understand about how I was moving through the world, about a thought and belief I had about myself. Is it true? Is it absolutely true? How do I feel when I have that thought? And what would it feel like to not have it? And all that comes when I think that is freedom. Freedom, lightness, possibility, strength, movement, flow. That's what comes when I think about not having that thought. So we're going to take this into our time of meditation, and I'm going to invite each of us, we're going to work the process. Right? We're going to work the loving what is process. So take a breath. We're anchoring the mountain that we are. We're anchoring that truth of who we are that is big enough and wide enough and deep enough and strong enough to hold absolutely everything. There is nothing too big, there is nothing too shameful, there is nothing too permanent. There is nothing greater than this truth of the love that we are, of the grace that we are, of the beauty that we actually are. And so as we anchor this space, we just invite a thought that seems to be disrupting that awareness of peace, that awareness of our power and our presence, that awareness of our divine identity. What is arising that is seeking to be healed right now? What do you believe about yourself? What concept, what idea do you hold? And then just ask yourself gently, 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 is it true? Is it absolutely true? And as you sit with that thought, that belief, that concept, that idea, just ask yourself, how does that thought make me feel? How does it impact me? And just acknowledge that suffering, that pain, that emptiness, just acknowledging it. And then just invite the divine idea of who you would be without that thought. Who would you be without that thought? What's possible without that thought? Is there a divine quality that is speaking? And just allow that possibility to settle into your bones, into your beingness. And can you turn around that original thought? Can you flip it around? Can you allow yourself to believe the truth of your identity? So let's take a moment and rest in the silence with that I amness. And just continue to allow it to inform who you truly are. To rest and be still. How good it is to realign with the truth of our being. To allow ourselves to transform those limiting beliefs and ideas into something that is transformative and healing and freeing. Allowing ourselves to love what is. And so it is. Amen. So today's affirmation, being with what is, I respond to what is. Can we please know this together? Being with what is, I respond to what is. And so it is.